He leads us all the way, playing proper football, the Sheff United way. Ale, 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 ale.
There you go. How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? What I did this time, I continued my dance, because what me and Ollie normally do is have a little bit of a dance and that goes on. But then, like a second before we start, we're like, do you like a newsreader? Or not that newsreader who did the rods, but like a newsreader, if you know what I mean. Anyway, it's nice to be speaking to you. I don't think anyone really expected me, because Ollie's on the thumbnail. I think you probably thought Ollie was going to be doing this on his own, but Ollie is with me, and we are talking tonight about Millwall versus Sheffield United. We're a little bit late, both in the fact that we're doing this at 8:30, and I don't think we've ever done a stream, at 8:30 before, other than something a bit special, like maybe a transfer deadline that's coming up, looming, something that me and Ollie might have to speak about off camera that we've not spoken about just yet. Yeah, that's obviously going to be exciting, because we've only signed one player so far. So I'm sure we're going to find sort of like 5 or 6 players from up our sleeve very, very soon. Anyway, we are talking about Sheffield United going to either the Den or the new Den. Me and Ollie were talking about this off camera. We're not sure what you call it anymore, because it used to be the old Den. Then they moved to the new Den, and now it's maybe just the Den. But it's Millwall anyway, and they're on a fantastic run of form this season. They sit 5th in the division. We're obviously 17th. We're on a bit of form as well after hammering Ipswich. The scoreline didn't really, it didn't do justice to the performance, because I don't really think Ipswich deserved anything from that game. Not a goal anyway. And I think we probably deserved a few more goals. But we're going into this game without Patrick Bamford, which we will get into in a second. But before we get on to talk about that, let's bring in my mate Ollie. How you doing, mate?
Oh, is the music finished? I was just going to dance on for another couple of seconds, because apparently that's what we do now. I'm not too bad, thank you, Nick. Yeah, I'm glad it's the end of the week. It's Friday. I'm looking forward to a weekend. You've got high energy Friday night all, rather than low energy midweek tired all. We're feeling it. We're feeling the fact that I don't have to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking about cracking a beer open, to be honest, but it was all a bit late, and as you can see, we were maybe 1 or 2 minutes over, and there we go. People already in the comments saying that we're late, and there we go. Lovely. It's great to have you all here. So make sure you get in the comments right now. Let us know what you think about this game. Also, let us know what you think the score is going to be. We will get to that towards the end of this stream. And Ollie, I did watch a YouTube video not too long ago. I popped it in our little chat because Ollie doesn't watch any videos other than Pokemon. I'm sure he didn't watch it. However, it was about YouTube kind of being broken right now. They're showing a lot of kind of, not even some of the big YouTubers are even not getting as many views as what they were before. And we've struggled, and I don't know whether that's just because United not being very good as well. So I want to do a bit of a test, and I want everybody that's watching this right now, whether you're in the chat, whether you're in the comments, and this has already gone live, write something in the comments right now what Ollie is about to say. One word, go Ollie.
Panic?
There we go. Panic. Actually, no. That sounds a terrible word to put in the comments.
I needed some forewarning. I had no idea.
No.
I'd be more than happy to go with Pokemon. Maybe that's the way we go. Because the Pokemon YouTubers, Nick, they're doing fine. They're okay. I'm following them. The views are down. They're uploading maybe a little bit less. But generally speaking, we're doing fine.
I think that we maybe should pick a word that is more Sheffield United related, maybe. Because I don't want Pokemon people coming on this video, watching it for 2 seconds and be like, this isn't Pokemon.
Okay, what about Bamford? Because that's going to be a massive part of this video in terms of what we're talking about. Because we've said predicted 11, and we've said we want to talk about, what's that going to look like? How do United approach this game? I think the biggest part of this preview is how do we cope without Patrick Bamford? So the word of the day is Bamford. You're right. Let's ignore Pokemon. Let's forget about that panic. Let's focus on Patrick Bamford.
Third time lucky. Third time lucky. Now, before we get stuck into all the predicted 11 and things like that, let's do a little bit of housekeeping and talk about our rivals for this game. We are talking about Millwall, obviously. We will get into talking about the Blades team news as well. But as I mentioned, the Lions are absolutely flying high. 5th in the division. Alex Neil is working wonders. And do you know what? Millwall have been very close for a few years now to the playoffs. And do you know what? If we're not going to get into the playoffs, I've got nothing for or against Millwall, really, other than Jake Cooper scoring every time we play against them. I more dislike Jake Cooper than Millwall. But if Millwall want to get into the playoffs and they get into the playoffs, I'm happy for that because, you know, Bristol City got in the playoffs last season. Didn't exactly go well for them, but they got into the playoffs last season. And you know, if we're not going to be there, I hope Millwall do that, but not at the expense of us in this game. So, Ole, you do a lot of Championship podcasts. You do a lot of Championship YouTube channels. How much have Millwall impressed you this season?
Millwall have been fantastic, to be honest. They're having a really great run so far this season. But it's not just this season. This is actually a continuation of something that started 12, maybe even 15 months ago when they first brought Alex Neil to the club, because they have just been on a fantastic run of form. When you look back over that sort of 12, 15-month period, they are amongst the 2 or 3 best teams in the Championship. And that is something that they've sustained for a long time now. I think what's most impressive, though, about them this season is that they've done this through repeated injury crises. It feels like they are constantly having injury problems. Every time I talk about them, Joe Bryan has barely been available. Will Smallbone, they brought to the club, completely unavailable. Mas Luongo signed for the club, immediately got a serious injury that puts him out till the summer. Lucas Jensen, the goalkeeper, been out a long time. And so players have just been missing, and yet they grind results out by just being really awful to play against. You also factor in the fact that they lost their talisman in Japhet Tanganga over the summer, obviously coming to United. And I don't think you can explain how impressive it has been. There is some red flags for me in terms of Millwall's longevity in this position. As much as I have talked about them being a team who've sustained this period of form for over 12 months now, they do still play very much on the margins. Up until recently, they still had a minus goal difference, despite being in the top 6 for almost the majority of this season. Teams that have a minus goal difference very rarely finish in the playoffs. The last team that did was Huddersfield way back when. And if anyone remembers that playoffs, they beat Wednesday. So, you know, pros and cons. But yeah, I think there's some question marks over the longevity of Millwall, but I really just don't think you can argue against how impressive this team has been. I think they've just got standout players in certain positions that really drive them forward. Their defense is outstanding. The fact that they have just immediately replaced Tanganga for a sort of fraction of the cost in terms of bringing in Caleb Taylor. They've got Tristan Kramer, who can play central defense, but has been forced to play right back because of their injuries. Everything they're doing at the moment is impressive. So, yeah, a really good side, Millwall. But because of those injury crises, they've not got first-choice players running through the team. There are areas you can get at them. And I think this is going to be a really good game. I think there's places we can hurt Millwall, but there's certainly plenty of areas that they can hurt us. Yeah, good team.
Yeah, it's going to be a big game. It's going to be a really tough game at the Den. As I know it's a cliche, but they always say, "Oh, it's always a tough game down there." And do you know what? I don't mind that. If I were a Millwall fan, I wouldn't mind that in the slightest. I would like people to be a little bit scared coming to our ground, and I think that's happened at Bramall Lane. You know, a lot in my lifetime, anyway, especially in the second tier. But I was just looking very, very quickly, Ollie, at the league table, because I was like, I hope Derby's not overtook them, but they're not. They're still 4 points behind them, but Derby have snuck into the playoffs as of right now because they are 3-0 up against Bristol City, which is also wild because they've also overtook Bristol City. Wow. Derby are doing fantastic, aren't they, this season?
I mean, yeah, it's teams that you just never predict. It's sort of bizarre at the moment. I think if they win today, Derby would be top of the away form league table in terms of their performance level. So it shows that you would expect them to be brilliant at home, maybe really poor away. They are doing it the complete other way around. Fantastic away from Pride Park. So yeah, they've shocked me almost as much as Millwall, because I really didn't know what to expect from them, and I thought they'd be sort of scrapping out in relegation.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. And, I hadn't seen who scored the third goal, but Ben Burton Diaz and Rhian Bruce have both scored, which is just typical, isn't it? Anyway, let's get into talking about the Blades. And before we get into that, I just want to say, I just want to give a huge shout out to the IPM Group, who are South Yorkshire's expert in security, CCTV, and facilities management. If you want to learn more about the IPM Group, go over to IPMGroupUK.com. Yes, .com. I had to check that. I was like, is it .co.uk? In this country, I feel like everything's .co.uk, but it's not. It's .com, and I'll pop their logo in the top corner. Eventually. It's not doing it. I don't know if it's doing it for you, but it's not doing it for me. Anyway, the podcast listeners are like, what is going on? What are you talking about, Nick? Also, if you're not heading to the game, why not go to Penenka Bar and Grill? And there'll be loads of Blades fans in there, soaking up the atmosphere. Obviously, it's not going to be on TV because it's a 3 p.m. kickoff, and you can't watch it anywhere else other than at the game. But if you want to soak up the atmosphere, watch Soccer Saturday and watch the scores come in, and hopefully the Blades do the business. Now, Ollie, let's get into talking about a little bit of Blades news. So, obviously, we've spoken about the elephant in the room that's no longer in the room. Is Patrick Bamford. He got his 2 yellows in the last game, which always equal a red. And, that's life, isn't it? And that's his first red of his career. Did you know that?
I think I saw BBC Sport were tweeting about it following the game. So I did, somewhere in the back of my head, I did remember seeing something about that. But it is bizarre. And I mean, what a first red card to get. I mean, I think the first one was it dissent. The second one is a dive. I can't really believe the decision the ref made. In all honesty, I know other fans do disagree with that, and I can understand it from their perspective, but I'm still a bit flabbergasted by it. But yeah, it's a massive loss for us.
Yeah, it's a huge loss, and it was so avoidable, wasn't it? Because he's going through one-on-one. He's gotten so much time to have a shot, dink the goalkeeper, do anything else other than go around him, try and go around him. Don't dive, whatever you do. And that's really what's caused, that's what's caused this. And Bamford really is somebody that we could have done with in this game. He's obviously really good at holding the ball up. He's good at hassling and harrying, and he's even good at pressing, really. To say that he's not the quickest, he certainly gets around the pitch and uses his brain rather than his legs as much. So, yeah, he's going to be a real big miss in this game. However, I think the last time that we went to Millwall, I believe that Tyrese Campbell scored an absolute screamer, didn't he?
He absolutely did. I was just thinking exactly the same thing myself, but I was also thinking about this Millwall defence that's been so impressive. But actually, would it be a game for Patrick Bamford? How would we use him in terms of his game intelligence? He would be fantastic at peeling off onto the defenders, making them come out of position. He would be asking questions of them that maybe they would be uncomfortable to answer. And that's, Tyrese Campbell scored a worldie here last season. And I do think that the likelihood is that he should be the answer to this question. He probably should be the player who comes into our starting 11, especially if we're playing one up front, because when we play one up front, we know that Tom Cannon can't play that role. And I think it's going to be really interesting, because if we use Campbell right, if he's interested, if he's got the energy, if he wants to be part of this team, he could absolutely have the running of Jake Cooper. We know that he's not going to be fast. We know that he's not going to be able to match Campbell stride for stride over long distance. So let's get Campbell in behind. Let's get stretching those defenders, pulling them into areas where they're uncomfortable, and let's use his movement to do that. There's certainly a scenario here where Campbell could be brilliant. Bamford would just be better.
Yeah, I agree. I think overall, obviously, Tyrese Campbell's a lot younger, and Tyrese Campbell was incredible last season. So if we can get him back to that sort of level, we're obviously going to get more longevity out of Campbell if we can get him back to those levels because of his age. Let's quickly run through, obviously, other than Patrick Bamford, let's run through those other players that are probably not going to be playing in this game. Tanganga and Sumare, I am right in thinking this is their final game, isn't it? Final game suspended.
It is indeed. They should be back for Oxford, which I think would be fantastic. Obviously, we want to make sure we keep that fantastic run we've got going at Bramall Lane, but very sadly, they both missed this one.
Yeah, I'm sure Tanganga is going to be gutted to be missing this one as well, because he'll want to obviously show Millwall fans the reason why he's come to join Sheffield United. Jairo Riedewald, too, still not sure about him. I've not really seen anything about him, but I don't know. He's probably not one of those games you want to throw him in at the deep end anyway. We probably only get 45 minutes out of him anyway, even if you are going to throw him in there. I would rather see him in there, but if he's been injured for a few weeks, hasn't he? So probably best to not throw him back in. Tyler Binden, they were saying it was an illness, but he's been out quite a while.
I think he's been out with concussion protocols. So I think he was flagged for the concussion protocol in the game against Charlton. That's why he had to go off at half time. When you've done that, you are subject to 10 days where you're not allowed to play. You're not allowed to be part of contact training or anything like that. I believe he's now exhausted that concussion protocol. So I would expect him to be fit and available for this one. I do think it was, like I say, concussion issues is why he'd been forced to miss out the last two.
Fantastic. Well, not fantastic. We don't want to see him concussed, but also it's good that it's just a concussion, and hopefully we'll see him back in this one. Obviously, Tom Davis. I want to see Tom Davis play every time he's fit, and he is fit now, which is good to see. Ollie Arblaster, also one of those players that's been injured, and he's still, needing that game time. Let's talk about who's going to be playing in this game then, Ollie. Let's talk about our predicted 11, because obviously we know the goalkeeper is going to be, but let's move into the back four, because Femi Siriki, for me, has to always start at right back unless he is being rested or whether he's, injured.
Absolutely, completely agree. I think Femi Siriki is one of the first names on the team sheet. I think that partnership he's got down the right-hand side with Andre Brooks is outstanding. I think it's a reason for our upturning form. I think they've both been absolute standouts of the last sort of 2-3 months. And so, I want to see Femi Siriki starting at every possible opportunity. The question for me is, we know that Wilder in a 3-game week likes to have rotation. The question for me is, which games does Femi play and which one is Wilder going to take that chance of resting him in? I would expect him to start here, and he would definitely be in my starting 11.
Mate, I know you're talking about Wilder and what Wilder would do and stuff like that, but they're such young lads, mate. I would want to be playing every single game if I was at that age. I wish I was that age, and I wish I were as good as these two players. But these two are just born to play together. I honestly don't think that either of them would be as effective if the other one wasn't playing. I know Femi's, and I think it's more Andre Brooks gets more out of Siriki than Siriki gets out of Andre Brooks. I think Siriki would be fantastic playing with most people. But I love a left footer on the right, coming in on the left, and Siriki going down the right. I just love to see that. And those two really, really complement each other so well. And we'll get into talking about that right-hand side in a moment, because obviously we're going to go through the defence first. Keanu Hoover, I think he's going to have his place. Hopefully a bit of a Martin Crane role. I love Martin Crane. Love him so much. Let's get into the left back now. So there's obviously still that battle, Sam McCallum against Harrison Burrows, and Sam McCallum's won it, most times this season. I expect to see Sam McCallum again there. What about you?
I think it's got to be Sam McCallum for this game. We're going to play horses for courses a little bit between these two. Again, I would expect rotation throughout the week, so I wouldn't be shocked to see Burrows, for example, starting against Oxford. But we need McCallum's physicality here. We're going to be talking about long balls into the box. We're going to be talking about them trying to hit Josh Coburn, the big striker up front, and we need the added physicality that McCallum brings. I think he deserves the space based on his form as well. So, I think there's a lot of advantages, and I think it's Sam McCallum who's got to have that shirt for this one.
Yeah, me too, mate. So looking at the centre-backs right now, there's Tyler Binden in there, as we've just mentioned, Ben Mee, Mark McGuinness. Who are we expecting to play centre-back in this game?
I'm going Mark McGuinness +1. Now, I'm not sure who the +1 is going to be. I thought Ben Mee had a very shaky first half against Ipswich, but got much better as the game went on. I think he did improve, particularly in that second half, just with his sort of leadership capability. Do we want his experience, his nous, playing up against a big physical team? We know what Josh Coburn brings to the game. And so maybe we want that sort of extra brain power, shall we say, in terms of our centre halves. But Bindon coming in, bit of youthful exuberance. I think he'd started to look really good when he was playing, obviously before his injury. Obviously, that partnership with Tanganga and him was absolutely huge. Yeah, for me, it's got to be McGuinness because we need that physicality. I am worried, don't get me wrong, about him as the ball is coming over the top. We know he can get caught. We know he's turning circles, not great. And we also know that upper body physicality, he might get bullied by Coburn. But I also think for set pieces, for corners, for everything else, you've got to have him in the squad in this game. Otherwise, we just get completely overrun for height. So McGuinness in for me. And I'm going to say that Mee starts next to him. I think we save Bindon for Tuesday night and we play Tanganga and Bindon against Oxford. But for this game, I don't know why it's the words coming out of my mouth, but the words coming out of my mouth are, I think it's McGuinness and Mee.
Do you know what? I was just about to disagree with you until you finished what you were saying, and then I'm like, yes, I think it should be me and McGuinness too. I thought you were going to go Bindon. I really did. But yeah, they've formed a bit of a partnership in the last few games. We've not conceded too many goals either. And I just think Ben Mee, I know he's been a bit dodgy since the Mansfield game, since coming back. But he was fantastic. He was one of the first names on the team sheet before the injury. Him and Tanganga formed a really, really good partnership. So I'm happy to see Mee there. He's got all that experience. And obviously, if it's going to be a little bit of a battle, then I want to see Mee and McGuinness in there. I don't think Tyler Bindon's quite as up for the battle as the other two are. But obviously he's got his strengths in other positions or in other places. Now let's look at the central midfielders. And actually this is where it gets interesting because this is where we have to decide whether it's going to be a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-3-1. And I'm going to let you go first. I've got my opinions and I'll give you my opinions very, very soon.
I am back and forth here, because I think there's a really interesting question that we've got to try and answer. I think the 4-2-3-1 was so effective against Ipswich because we had Patrick Bamford. It's really hard to play that role. We've seen it so many times this season. We were doing it back at the start of the season. We tried to play 4-2-3-1 to Tyrese Campbell and it wasn't working. We tried to play 4-2-3-1 to Tom Cannon. He just can't play that role. He has to have a partner with him to get the most out of him. So then do you play Campbell and Cannon? But actually, we've tried them together before and that doesn't work. There's not a functional partnership there. So I think to get the most out of our attack, we have to lean into a 4-2-3-1. If we're doing that, I don't know the fitness of Jairo Riedewald. I'd love to have him back in the team, but I don't want to take any chances. I don't want to see him miss out. And so, because they did so well against Ipswich, because I thought they were outstanding, I thought we did dominate that sort of central midfield partnership against Ipswich. I understand why we might go to the 4-2-2-2-2. And I know that obviously there's options in there, but I think you have to go 4-2-3-1 because I just don't think the partnership of Campbell and Cannon works. So I'm going to say Davies and Peck, two central midfielders in a 4-2-3-1.
I'm sick of this, Ollie. I'm sick of agreeing with you. We need a bit of division. And, you know, we are united. United we stand. No, I completely agree. I think that I actually disagree in one sense. I think Campbell last season did look good in a one with two wide players supporting him with O'Hare or Gus or whoever in that more central role. I do think Gus will play again in this game. I don't know what the crack is with the transfer window because I've not seen any links to Gus, not even a Leeds one or a Coventry one or somebody seeming on a plane to Holland. Like, what is going on? I've not actually seen any links, which sort of worry me a little bit, like it could come in at the very last moment. I will just quickly say, quite often the window shuts at the end of January, but actually it's the 2nd of February at 7 p.m. So we might see if we could do a bit of a stream at some point. I'm sure there will be movements, but I'm hoping it's not Gus. But getting back on to talking about this team, I agree. I think it's Peck and I think it's Tom Davies. I don't think Peck and Arblaster really suit each other. I think if it's going to be two of the three, Tom Davies always has to play, which is a slight worry. But hopefully, bringing Tom Davies in, I don't mind seeing Peck and Arblaster playing the back end of the game together. But, if Tom Davies has to play again with one of those two, hopefully Riedewald's fit soon, because I don't want to put too much strain on Tom Davies. I love Tom Davies. I think he's a fantastic player. But I just don't think we're never going to get a full 90 minutes out of Tom Davies. I don't think. I don't know if we have. We must have at some point, maybe. But it's the very few and far between. So yeah, I'm happy with that. If we go Peck, and I love how I just said I'm happy with that. Like, that's what's going to happen. Like, that's who the team will be because we've said so. So yeah, let's talk about the kind of wings now, if you like. I think it will be Gus again on that left hand side, and I think it'll be Andre Brooks on the right with O'Hare through the middle.
Yeah, I think we are just agreeing, aren't we? As we go through this video, it seems we have no disagreements on this channel. We're just best friends. Big love. I think this is interesting because I think if you play 4-2-3-1, it has to be Gus, O'Hare, Brooks. I don't think there's any other options really to come into those positions. I think they would be the nailed on sort of first team. Obviously, the risk here comes that if we did shift to the 4-2-2-2-2, it would be that Gus drops out and Tom Cannon comes in. That would be the change for me if we were shifting system. But no, I agree with you. I think we stick to the system as it was. I think we will revert back to 4-2-2-2 at some point when we've got sort of that fitness and we feel a bit more comfortable in that midfield too, in particular with Riedewald back. But right now, I think it gives more protection defensively, making sure that Davis and Peck aren't overloaded because you've got the extra man just in front who can drop back. It also gives us a little bit more in terms of who's going to play around Campbell to try and make sure he's not as isolated in the game. So yeah, I'd go those three: Harmer, O'Hare, Brooks.
Absolutely agree, and so does Paul Savage on Facebook. He's jumped in and said that without Bamford, he wants to see Campbell in the starting 11. We might be regretting that come 4 o'clock or a little bit later, but I completely agree. Dylan's also talking about Danny Ings starting potentially. I still think Danny Ings has got something to give. My problem with thinking that is that he's the fourth choice striker. So I think if Danny Ings is going to show anything to us this season or get any goals, it needs to come in this game because Patrick Bamford will be back in the next game and then he'll be back to fourth choice striker again. So Ollie's shaking his head saying no for those podcast listeners. But, you never know.
Yeah, I really thought you were going to say, I really want Danny Ings to come good. Oh, but I watch him and he's rubbish. Is really where I thought you were going to go with that statement as you were taking it forward. I would love nothing more than to see Danny Ings play well, but I don't think he's got it in him anymore. If I'm being honest, I would be very, very worried and disappointed if he's starting up front on Saturday. I think, we've talked a lot. I've talked a lot in particular around January and, the gaps we've got in this squad. How disappointed I am that we've not got any business done, and it is the 30th. We've literally gone the entire month and done nothing. But I'm not. That's not this video. And so, if Danny Ings starts on Saturday, I think that just brings all of those worries, those frustrations to the fore, because we just shouldn't be in a position where that's the case. For me, I think he might get a goal every now and again off the bench potentially, but I've just not seen enough to think that he's worth sort of persevering within this kind of game at all.
I want that to be clippable. I really do, because I do want to see Danny Ings come good. You're absolutely right. I do. And I think there's a world where he does come good. I know you don't believe it, and you may think that his legs have gone a little bit, or he's been out of a team of a starting 11 for such a long time. I mean, a prolonged period of time, that maybe he's just kind of lost confidence in himself as well. Because even the goal that he scored, I can't remember who it was against now, where Chong pulled it back for him. I knew you were going to know. I knew you were going to know. That he was even apologizing to the crowd, like, I know I've missed a few. I apologize. So maybe it's mental. I don't know. But we'll have to wait and see if he gets any sort of game in this game. Lee, I'll quickly jump into Lee Hinchelwood has said, got to start Cannon. Campbell is bone idle. John Grayson is also saying Campbell is a waste of time. John's also saying Campbell idle. It's wild, though, because last season he wasn't. So I don't know what has changed.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're not wrong. Nothing they've said there is wrong. Campbell's having a really poor season. I think he's been one of the biggest disappointments, particularly in terms of the drop-off from last year. I thought his level last year was so good. I thought he looked like a really strong player. I think through the summer, we got links of him going to the Premier League. I thought he really looked as though he was ready to have a proper breakthrough and be a real leading man for us again this season. I don't know what's changed. I don't know if it's fitness levels. I don't know if it's sort of commitment to the team. I don't know if it's energy. He just doesn't seem like he wants to run around at the moment. He doesn't really want to be contributing. The reason, having said that, the reason I think he would start this game, the reason I think he would be the one who gets the nod is that I like Tom Cannon. I think Tom Cannon has established himself as the first choice striker in a front two with Patrick Bamford. But he cannot play on his own. We've seen this non-stop for the last 12 months. If Tom Cannon plays up front on his own, it's exactly the same scenario of like having 10 men, because I just don't think he's got it in him to be a solo striker, needs a partner with him to get the most out of him. So I think if we are sticking with 4-2-3-1, Campbell gets the nod because he's shown us that he can do it. Admittedly, not as much this season, but he's shown us enough evidence last season that he can do it. And I don't think I've ever seen any evidence that Cannon can be one up front on his own.
No, maybe it's just me being really, really biased because I really liked Tyrese Campbell last season. I thought he was unplayable on his day. I just feel like we need to persevere with him because last season, if we can try and get that out of him again, he's one of the best strikers in the championship if he plays like he did last season. I genuinely think that. So I just want to see him back to his best. And he's not going to be back to his best if he's not given the chance, especially when Bamford's not fit. And yeah, I completely agree. I think he needs to start in this game up front with lots of men getting around him, lots of Gus linking up with him. Gus asking him the question, go and run after that ball, and I'll come and support you. And Callum O'Hare getting around him, flicking those balls through. I just want to see him hit the back of the net. He scored against Wednesday earlier in the season. He scored a couple of really, really good goals. I know you Ollie's looking at me like anyone could score against Wednesday. Scored that fantastic goal against Southampton earlier in the season. He can do it. The man can do it. And I just feel like as much as Tom Cannon's done okay this season, I just feel like I would much rather put my time and energy into getting Tyrese Campbell back to where he was. But anyway, that's just my opinions. Probably everyone disagrees with me, and I'm fine with that. So let's go into talking about the predicted 11. And I want to give a not predicted 11, the score predictions. We've already done the predicted 11. We're not doing that again, Ollie. It's way too late on a Friday for that. I want to give a big shout out to Shazbat Designs, who supports the channel. And I think we're going to maybe do this a little bit differently and put some sponsors in different videos so that they all get the fair share of airtime. And we absolutely love Shazbat, and I want to give her all the love in the world because she's fantastic, and she's a big supporter. She's our very own Blaze pyrographer, and if you want to go over to Shazbat Designs
.co.uk.
The only reason why I said that is because I thought it was on my sheet and it wasn't on my sheet. So I was like, hopefully Ollie knows.
I just thought you were playing off the .com thing from earlier where you'd completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing.
Yes, that's exactly what I was doing. And it is .co.uk. I was just buying myself some time to make sure I got that right. So it is shazbatdesigns.co.uk. Sorry, Shazbat. I am terrible, as you can see, at reading these things out.
Yeah, there's something less than natural about your way of selling there, Nick. I have actually used Shaz in the past, and her work is incredible. I was lucky enough to get to do a Tree of Life pyrographer clock for my friend Jack, and she absolutely loves it. It looks fantastic, and the work that Shaz does is incredible. So please do go and check that out. If you use the code Sheff United Way, whether that's by messaging on Twitter or in the comments on the website, you will also get a discount because Shaz is a huge supporter of the Blades and loves supporting other Sheffield United fans as well. So do go and check those out because, yeah, it's absolutely worth it, and her work is second to none.
Yeah, loads of bespoke stuff as well. So Shazbat Designs at hotmail.co.uk. If you want to go and drop her a message, or either that or on Twitter, she'll come back to you because she's a lovely, lovely lady. Anyway, let's talk about score predictions, Oliver. We will give ours at the end. I'm going to go through the Sheff United Way WhatsApp chat. Dylan of this parish is going 2-0. Not to us, 2-0 to Millwall, and put Cooper and Bannon. I thought it was a joke at first, and I thought it was saying Mike Cooper. And then I realised there's another Cooper that's going to be playing in this game. Or I hope he isn't, because he always scores against us. And he's gone for a 2-0 Millwall win. And I have kicked him out of the group instantly for that. Liam has then gone for a 2-1 Millwall win as well. He said they're solid at home and we struggle away. Scott's gone for a 1-0. Cooper to score for Millwall. Everyone's going to say this, aren't they? Texan Cowboys gone for 3-0 Blades with Cannon, hat-trick, and a Bannon sending off. Do we think Barry Bannon's actually going to play in this game, Al?
No, no chance at all. I cannot understand why they've signed him. He was all right for Crystal Palace, wasn't he, all those years ago? But other than that, I'm not sure what he's ever... I don't understand how he's got this move. I look at the midfield that Millwall have got coming out at the moment. They've got Casper Norrie and Billy Mitchell. Billy Mitchell, outstanding youth prospect, come through the academy at Millwall, has always been a standout player for them. He's really sort of coming into his own in his career. Casper Norrie just runs and runs. If you watch him, you just know you're up against a player and you're always going to be in a battle. I just can't understand what this signing's about. If they need creativity, they've got Alfie Doughty. You get him in down the left-hand side. He's going to be able to do all your creation, all of those long passes, all of those finding the little movements. So, yeah, if he plays, I would be very, very shocked because I just don't understand how he gets in this team. But alas, what do I know?
He probably shouldn't start anyway, just because he signed only a few days ago, and obviously they're doing well this season. They're not crying out for a bald-headed little hobbit, are they? Oh, that's so sizist. I'm sorry, Ollie. I know you're you're a really short man, but you've got a full head of hair, and fair play. I'll quickly run through the rest because, we've been going on for a while. So Ben has gone for a 2-0 Blades win. Brad has gone for a 2-2. Cooper nailed on to score, obviously. Connor of Just United and just Sheff United way as well. He's a big supporter and a good friend. He's gone for a 2-1 Millwall. Not anymore. Not anymore, Connor. 2-1 Millwall. We're not having any of that. Suspensions and injuries are a killer for this one. Ian Benson is going for a 1-1 nervous draw. Maury's gone for a 6-1 Blades win. I'll take that every day of the week. And then he said, no, seriously, 2-2. Kyle's gone for a 2-1 defeat. Mark's gone for a 1-1. Paul's gone for a 2-1 Blades win. And William's gone for a 3-1 Blades win. So, Ale, what are you going for, my good friend?
I'm a bit scared you're going to boot me, to be honest, as we work this one through. I'm still here. I love you all. This one's a really difficult game. I think Millwall are a really good footballing side. I think they're also almost a perfect counter to us at the moment. I think we do still really struggle in terms of the physicality part of the game. I think coming forwards, Josh Coburn, I look at that up against Mark McGuinness, and while height-wise, McGuinness probably is a little bit taller, I just don't give him any of that sort of upper body strength battle that he's going to need. I think Coburn really can cause us so many problems, whether it's me on the other side or it's going to be Bindon. Again, I think him drifting off and using his physicality is going to cause just problems all the way through our team. So I'm really worried about how far back we're going to get pushed and how they're going to work that through. I think there's a lot of lovely footballers they've got as well down those wings. I think it's going to be really interesting how those battles play out. Camille Negley up against Femi Siriki, probably one of the key ones. If Siriki can win that, keep Negley quiet, there's definitely a chance that we're going to be hurting them. But I did my predictions video earlier this week with Simon Lillibray over on Simon's channel. And I said 2-1 to Millwall. And I think that might be where I think this one goes.
Fair enough. I think we'll be... I'll be happy with a draw. I'll be perfectly honest. I don't think we're going to go there and absolutely smash them. There's no chance of that happening, in my opinion. But you know, we've got every chance of nicking a win. We've taken the game to a lot of teams away from home this season. I think recency bias is running around in my brain because of that Southampton game, and we were so poor, especially in the first half of that Southampton game. But we have taken games to a lot of teams in the last sort of couple of months away from home. Even Wrexham, when we got battered in the end, we took it to them and we were 2-1 up. So I feel like it's a game where we're going to try and do that. We're probably. I'm stuck between, are we going to sit in and see how the game pans out, or are we going to go not all guns blazing, but certainly get on the front foot, try and create some chances early. We did that against Charlton as well before we had the 2 men sent off and created lots and lots of chances. So hopefully we take the chances that we create. Dylan's gone for a 1-1 draw, and do you know what? I think I'm going to go for the same, either a 1-1 or a 2-2. There's going to be goals in this game. There quite often is with Sheffield United, especially this season. And I'm excited for this one, though, Ol. I really am, especially after that Ipswich game. We haven't really talked about that, but we really took it to Ipswich. We were really up for that game. And especially still without players. We're out without Tanganga. We're without Samare. Without a couple more, we're still a little bit light on the ground. I know we're going to miss Bamford big time in this game, but we've got a lot of creative players, a lot of exciting players that can create big chances. And on the day, we've got strikers to take those chances. So hopefully it is our day. And I'm excited for this one. What about you?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Like I say, I'm not overly optimistic, but I am excited because I've just been enjoying watching United recently. Obviously, it was my dad's old adage: the more effort you put in to get to a game of football, the less likely it is that United will play well. That was the case when we went all the way down to Southampton to watch that. And so, that one hurt a little bit in terms of obviously the amount of time that we'd given up to get there. But overall, I've enjoyed watching United for the most part. Our away record at the moment is really poor. I know we have been taking it to teams, but I think we've lost 4 of our last 5, is it, on the road? So we do need to start turning that around if we are going to, start thinking about anything potentially that is on my mind. We were excellent against Ipswich. I can't believe how good we were. Like, I enjoyed that performance so much. I can't remember watching us play that well for quite a long time because they're one of the favoured teams in the division. They're the best team in the division, I would say, in terms of quality of the squad. They were in the best form in the division, looking at the rolling sort of 15-game form table, and yet we just dominated them. And it was such a good performance. If we play like that, we'll beat anybody in this division, and that is absolutely anybody. The question is, can we get the consistency to play like that week after week, game after game? And I don't think we've proven that we have got that consistency really in the last few weeks. So I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm all over the shop, but that's nothing new.
Absolutely. Like John says, if we do play like we did against Ipswich, we will win. Like you say, we can beat anyone on our day. And we certainly didn't think that at the start of the season after 5 or 6 games. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us this evening. I know it's late. I know it's a Friday. And you can all go and do whatever you need to do now. I'm certainly going to go and eat because I've not eaten yet. And it's very, very, I know, crazy, isn't it? I've had a very, very... I'll tell you off air, Al. We'll leave it there. Thank you very much, like I said, everyone else for joining us. Thank you all for joining me too. Really appreciate it. And we'll catch up with you after this game for a match reaction. Up the Blades.
Ollie, ollie, ollie.